Ramaphosa holds a campaign rally in the suburbs of Cape Town ahead of the ANC meeting next week to choose the next president. If the party was to win the 2024 general elections, the South African president is facing questions over this alleged involvement in the AC. Our reporter has more details.
Cyril Ramaphosa is the only candidate ahead of his former health minister Mzweli Mkhize for president of the African National Congress ANC. The party meets next week to decide who will lead the country if the increasingly contested ANC wins the 2024 general elections.
Have that conversation as led and work on strategies and actions that we men must take to bring gender-based violence to an end.
But before that internal vote, Parliament will decide tomorrow whether to launch impeachment proceedings against the president. Mr. Ramaphosa is accused of trying to conceal a burglary at one of his properties, during which large sums of cash were found hidden in a sofa. The ANC, which has a large majority in Parliament, has given him official support, making a forced departure unlikely. But some have accused the party's top brass trying to silence the dissenting voices within the all-powerful National Executive Committee NEC that heads it. The president, who is in trouble just days before the crucial elections, went hunting outside his home province of Cape over the weekend.
A broken system. You need to repair that broken system, and it has been so for quite a long time. It's got many parts to it. It's got the skills base to it. It's got machines to it. It's got flawed designs of power stations. It's got various aspects, and it's also got an element.
The province is traditionally favored by the first opposition party, the Democratic Alliance, which won more than 50% of the votes in the last local elections. Asked by journalists about a possible withdrawal from the burglary case, in which is not charged at this stage, Mr. Ramaphosa replied with a smile, "There is no problem and there is no crisis. Relax," before putting end to the questions. Later, walking between the corrugated iron shacks of the township, the president was followed by a restless crowd dressed in green, black and yellow, the colors of the ANC supporters, shouting at him. Simpivwe, one of the supporters, listed the needs in deprived areas where access to water and electricity is not guaranteed, and he says corruption that is in the ANC party is killing the communities.
I want to lie. I like to see him. I was happy to see him. Yeah. But corruption from ANC is killing our community or our country.
Asimwe, GNTV at 12.
Thank you, Desire Asimwe, for that report. Moving on, the main event of the 10th Summit of the Organization of African, Caribbean and Pacific States ended Friday, known as Saturday, as planned, with the departure of the Angolan president for another summit, the US-Africa in Washington. Let's take a look.
The main event of the 10th Summit of the Organization of Africa, Caribbean and Pacific States ended earlier as it was planned over the weekend, with the departure of the Angolan president for another summit. The Slovenian deputy prime minister was present at the event in Rwanda. During Tanja Fajoni's first visit to Angola, the Slovenian head of diplomacy also spoke about cooperation with Africa.
Slovenia is really increasing the development aid to many countries in Africa, humanitarian aid. We are working a lot when it comes to protection of women's rights and the children.
But the visit also served to build bridges and alliances for the country to get a non-permanent seat on the United Nations Security Council. It remains to be seen whether the country will obtain the support of the member countries of the Organization of Africa, Caribbean and Pacific States.
Times of having a war in European continent and having a lot of challenges like climate change or energy or security risks, we will definitely be able and willing to listen everyone and bring our positions as close as possible.
Organization of which Rwanda holds the rotating presidency for the next 3 years.
Burden, particularly among the lower middle income countries, which require adequate physical space. We need a mutually...
Za Asimwe, GNTV at 12.
You Desire Asimwe for that report. Moving on, the body of a 23-year-old Zambian student, Lemekani Jirenda, who died while fighting in Ukraine after he was recruited in the Russian jail, arrived home in a makeshift coffin on Sunday. We have details.
My name is Lemekani Oneta. Whichever way you can pronounce the best and you can pronounce, just try to pronounce it the way I'm pronouncing it. If you can't, just go with Nathan. Lemekani seems to trouble people. Just go with Nathan.
The body of a Zambian student who died while fighting in Ukraine after he was recruited in a Russian jail arrived home in a makeshift coffin yesterday. Glass-paneled hearse donned with small curtains affording a partial view of the container holding the body arrived on the tarmac at Lusaka Airport, where grieving relatives gathered.
Very, very unfortunate when we learned this. We couldn't believe. Because all the family, we are expecting that Lemekani is doing some studies in Russia. Upon we heard this story, we are very, very shocked. Even now, we don't believe that Lemekani is normal.
On the coffin was a code written in black pen marker, along with letters in a Cyrillic alphabet betraying its provenance. Zambia demanded an urgent explanation from Moscow last month over the death of Ramaken Nathan Nyirenda in September while fighting on the Russian side in Ukraine, where he ended up after his spell in prison. The 23-year-old had been studying nuclear engineering at Moscow Engineering Physics Institute, but was handed a 9.5-year jail term in April 2020 over drugs offense. 2 weeks after Zambia's demand for the information, Russia's Wagner paramilitary group admitted it had recruited him for Moscow's special operations in Ukraine, adding he had voluntarily joined up before dying a hero.
To this thing, I mean, it's not at the risk of relations, whatever, between Zambia. But the point is, why does this come on the heels of Zambia voting against the Russian invasion of Ukraine?
Zambian Foreign Minister Stanley Kakubo said earlier this month that Russia's law allows for a prisoner to be pardoned specifically for a special military operation. Tearful relatives, including the students' parents and brothers, were on hand at the airport, clasping each other as the choir led those present in religious chants. The family declined to comment to the media. A family spokesman said the body was to be transferred to the morgue for an autopsy, with the burial date to follow. Kakubo says the compensation issues with the family over the death would be discussed in due course. Za Asimwe, GNTV at 12.
May his soul rest in eternal peace. For now, let's take a quick break. We'll return back with the sports news. The sports news, Baron Rugomoka and Hakim Mawanda are now Uganda Rally champions after a victory in Rukunjiri on Saturday. Our reporter Nwamanya Innocent gives us more details.
Byron Rugomoka and Hakim Mawanda are new Uganda Rally champions after ending the rally season in style with a victory in Lukungiri Champions Rally on Saturday. Started the season final with one target to beat his rival Jonas Kansime to the top 3 positions of the event in Shubisi Evox. This was on a mission by keeping himself in the lead from day one to finish the event clocking 1 hour 34 minutes and 30 seconds. The win was also his first in his rallying career. Jonas Kansime managed second position and finished in 1 minute and 55 seconds. Makrobega sealed the podium positions in Rukungiribona champions. Oscar Ntambi and Asuman Mohammed also joins the champions list after clinching two-wheel drive championship.
Rally ya leero tebadde mbi gwe mulundi ogubadde gusoose okujja e Rukungiri naye makubo gabadde si malungi nnyo naye tusobodde okuvuga era mwenjogerera ffe abalidinga kategore yaffe kati tulinze olunaku lw'enkya tulabe bwe lunaatambula. My name's Ntambi Oscar. Today's section was a very good one. We started with the first section that was about 17 kilometers. We went through well and we were winning the first section. Then the second section was also very good. And now we are here. The ride is good, I can say. The roads were a bit bad here and there, but we managed to come out.
Yeah, so this rally has been very quite interesting. The sections have been a mix of smooth and also rocky and rough and very hilly. And I think so far we are happy with our performance as Team Fong. But also we see that bringing the rally away from the town is also a very good thing.
Rally netuberedde nnungi ebaddemu ekiwetaga mu rally ebaddemu obuseerezi ensozi amayinja so tusuubira nti nno tugenda okijjamu olwaleero kintu kirungi nnyo ate kibadde kirungi nnyo okubeera nga tutambula ekujjako ng'Erukunjiri tufunyeko n'omukisa okulambulako munnaffe yafa covid bamuyita polekolo wilbert so tugenda tukulambulako tona ku bazadde so ebadde adventure nnungi era nogirako western uganda enewaleero.
Innocent Nwamanya, Itungo, GNTV Sports at Toro.
In other stories, the Uganda Victoria Pearls are in Nairobi for their next 8 days as they compete with 3 other nations. We have more details.
The Uganda Victoria Pearls are in Nairobi for the next 8 days as they compete with 3 other nations in T20 series. Tanzania was a late entrant to the Invitational T20 series, which had Uganda, Kenya and Qatar confirmed. Uganda is ranked 21st, Kenya 25th and Qatar 45th, which means Tanzania is the team to beat, if numbers meaning anything. The Victoria Pearls have selected one of their most experienced sides. The return of players such as Immaculate Nakisui, Stefan Nampina and Irene Alumo should bolster in the squad.
Nene kyokubiri tulinamu abazannyi abapya nabo tebabamanyi tebalabangako bapya mu nsike ya international cricket naye si bapya mu muzannyo gwa cricket.
The team will be handled by the Lawrence Sematimba and he will be assisted by the Lawrence Sempija with Imran Tugume doing the physio work.
Abana ade batraininga bulungi tabadde na buzibu bonna tebalina injale bali bulungi era tuwadde Uganda nabo bulungi bagamba bonna timu gye tutte bali bulungi kagamba bajja kundaga.
These games will all be played at the Gaimkan Sports Club in Nairobi. A story by Innocent Nwamanyi Tungo for GNTV Sports at Toro.
That report sums up the afternoon's bulletin. But before I leave, let's take a quick recap on the top stories.
In our today's top stories, residents of Bugando and Kayanja in Chitwamba sub-county, Kasese district, cry over poor roads in the area.
We have a problem of transporting, so we are requesting government to help us. They should give us more. The kilometer which were stopped from the center, they should add so that our products should reach where we need them.
The body of the Zambian student who died in Russia-Ukraine war returned home. In sports, Byron Orgomoka and Hakim Mawanda wins the Rukunjiri Motor Rally over the weekend.
Thank you so much for being part of the bulletin from the time we started up to the time we are wrapping up. On behalf of the entire news production team, many thanks for your company. Up next for you is a lunch hour service from King of Kings Church. So stick around, lots of goodies coming in for you. My name is Whitney Kinembabazi Mushabi.